very good morning, a very good afternoon, a very good evening, wherever you are. I'm Abincha Mogambi, a legal expert and also a policy, an international policy uh, commentator. I am well versed in matters public policy and international development. I want to raise two issues. Why are we still having AU? What is AU doing? What is the role of AU in the conflicts in Africa? Why are we also having the East African community or federation? Why is Kenya even contributing to these bodies? My personal take is that AU has been exposed and is naked. It is not addressing any of the African issues. It is not charting any of the African agenda. It is being used to fight proxy wars. Look at Sudan. Look at the DLC. Why is it that even until now, even after independence in the 60s, we are still, as Africans, we are still trying to look for a paradigm? Who is developing our paradigm? My own conviction is that the current AU as is does not have any role at all and should be disbanded. What are my reasons for calling for the disbanding of AU? Very simple. We've had various policies that AU has come up with. The most critical one being that by 2030, Africans should silence the guns, and that we should charter our own paradigm. But is this going to happen? Is this happening? It is not happening. The crisis in most of African countries, you will see the absence of AU, and yet AU is meant to address these issues. So who is committed into running the AU? Why is it that a small country like Djibouti, which is having less than 2 million people, can run down a big nation like Kenya? I mean, whose agenda is the AU meant to articulate? The African agenda, the African question. But look at our leaders. What do? When they go to Addis, in fact, they hardly sit. You will notice that they leave the moment they leave their chats and enter into the conference rooms, there is nothing they articulate. They don't even understand or read the policies. Yet they even leave the chats running. Why is it that when we had leaders like the buffoon Amin, still AU had a bigger role, had a bigger say, looked like an international, looked like a body that could bring together all Africans and articulate the African issue? What happened to Amin? And by the way, for those who do not know, Idi Amin could have sounded to be so very brutal and so very bad in Uganda, but he had that big heart for the African unity. is one leader who never worshipped corruption. Uganda, as it were, is one of the African nations which has building all over the world, and this is articulated to Idi Amin. His non-corruption, his good intention to invest for Uganda, his intention of bringing Africa leaders together. What happened to Gaddafi? What did the global north do to Muhammad Gaddafi? Gaddafi is one leader who also had the interest, the African interest at heart. But what happened to him? So, who are the leaders that we are having now in Africa? What is their role? Who is it that they benefit? That clearly tells you that their interest is to articulate issues of their masters. That is why Sudan is dying. And yet the African leaders, all of them, there is nobody who is interested in rescuing Sudan. We've seen the countries from the Middle East investing in Sudan, giving fuel to the crisis in Sudan so that they can benefit. We've seen the global north doing the same. They don't care whether the African citizenry are being butchered by the two warlords. Their interest is to make sure that they take as many minerals as they can. Their interest is to make sure that they keep enslaving the Africans, running down the Africans, just like Walter Rodney pointed out in his book, how Europe made sure that Africa did not progress, how they colonized and decolonized Africa. My take is that we disband the two bodies. We try and come up with a program, with a curricula in our schools, right from primary to highest institutions. And this curricula should teach the African child, the African student, on the need of Pan-Africanism. We should decolonize, just like Ngugi says. We have to teach our people that actually the people who came to colonize Africans were not even masters, just like we were taught in school. These were criminals who were chased away from the global north, the criminals who were chased away from Britain, people who could not, who are delinquents, people who could not fit in the society, who were thrown to Africa because there is nowhere they could fit. And these are the people who came to Africa and made themselves masters. So we must educate our people. We must bring out the issue of Pan-Africanism. We must look at our institutions. We must agree. If AU is not working, then Africa is not working. And if Africa is not working, let us not pretend that we have drawn our paradigm. Let us not be used by outsiders to do the proxy wars. Why are we allowing, for instance, why should leaders in DLC go all the way to Doha to sign a charter on how to silence guns and how to take care of their people and how to grow their country, their nation? Why should warring factions in DLC want to go to Washington to go and agree. I mean, why are you even exposing yourself to a foreigner who does not understand your issues? We've seen these foreigners coming to Africa with briefcases full of solutions to come and find problems to apply them. These are people who do not understand our heritage. They do not understand our history. They do not have the interest of Africans at heart. These are people who keep on exploiting us. The trade imbalance, for instance. Why should somebody decide that when you want to import a motor vehicle from the UK, you pay so much? Yet the same person, when you want to export coffee or tea to the UK, determines how much that coffee should cost, how much that tea should cost, and yet in this era and time we still say that there is trade relations. This is total exploitation. You cannot determine the price of my commodity and at the same time determine the price of your goods. There must be a balance. We must change this paradigm as Africans. We must be deliberate about writing our own history. We must be deliberate about charting out our own paradigm. We really have to sit down and we really have to educate our people, and we really have to agree and critically analyze the role of these institutions that we have in Africa. For instance, why are we having are we still having the East African community? Mama Sulu has made it so very clear that she doesn't want to support East African community. Other nations have been so very calculative in not wanting the common market to thrive. So why is Kenya even contributing to the East African community? Why are we wasting resources in these bodies which are not working? It is so very clear that Tanzania is inclined towards SADC, and we're still forcing our heads that the East African community is working and will work. They have said that they will not allow any persons who are in that nation carrying out small activities like businesses to operate in the country. So why are we allowing these bodies? I mean, why are we pretending that these bodies are working yet they are not working? As it is for now, these bodies do not make any sense. Thank you.